621. So for me, like I'm me and my numerology, I was like, oh, that is so dope. It's like my birthday in the mirror, 621. And I didn't realize that, yeah, I dropped that on the equinox, like the summer solstice. And as I was revisiting a couple chapters, I was like, oh, it's definitely an alignment from switching from one season to another. So it was like, wow, like I dropped that on the summer solstice. And I was grateful. So, you know, I want to say 13 is such a divine number, the divine feminine. So, like, I was like, oh, when I had the idea, I got the download. I was like, okay, I could drop because surrounding the book, I was supposed to be like I ain't gonna say supposed to because that's another one of them woulda, shoulda, couldas. I don't do that, but everything in divine timing. Everything truly in divine timing, and I kept like starting, stopping. It just never seemed like the right time, and now it's like wow. Um, I'm not saying some time has, opened up and whatnot just for a brief moment. So I was like, oh, well, let me go ahead and drop, do this little 13 days of self witnessing, which is beautiful because it's like recapping the energy of it, the chapters, and just wow. Really, that project really for it to be almost a year old and thinking about the series of events that has occurred within a year's time, I'm like, wow, mine just, So I'm just grateful that I had a chance to publish my first book. Like most people think about like, well, I want to write a book, so just even go through the process of putting it all together and publishing it. So it's always been a dream of mine. It's like, oh, I'm on Amazon. I used to read books on Kindle, and now I got my own book on Kindle. So I just want to thank the ancestors and the spirit guides for this time, and truly for my gift. So right now, I'm just even chopping it up with the soul family. A sister gave me this beautiful idea, and it was so beautiful I couldn't even put it down. To add like, yeah, I'm gonna get to that later. No, that's something I feel like I definitely need to take action on, for sure. So I'm definitely gonna. It's some beautiful things that's unfolding with that book for sure. So but yeah, it's been a beautiful Wednesday. Uh, reporting live from Durham, North Carolina, back in Durham. Actually, it's crazy how you step away from a place for a year and then you come back to it. It's like you could tell the vibe has changed, the energy is different, the air is different, So, but it is good. It is good to be back in Durham, and not to be too far away from my alma mater. Shout out to North Carolina Central University. Um, I still remember it like it was yesterday. Like I had turned 18, and I'm gonna rewind to take that. So in 2012, they was like, "Oh, the world going to end, and it's literally going to end on 12/12/12." And I was like, "Oh no," or 12/21 or something like that. And I was like, "Man, it's gonna wait until we graduate high school for the world to end. We just getting out of high school." So it's crazy when you think. I don't know, like when you think the world going to end, you move different, and I can't say 2012 the world did end, just not a physical end. It was a spiritual ending, and because that year it was a lot of firsts for me. It was some lost in there. It was a lot of maturing. It definitely was a lot of first experiences. From I never touched alcohol, marijuana, none of that. Or or, I just engage in some different activities. But just, you know, turning 18 and then just still finding myself and just at the same time finding myself and living my life unapologetically. So me and my cousin, he was like, "Yo, you going off to college, Britt?" And I was so excited because I was like, "Oh, I got accepted into North Carolina Central University, and this is gonna be amazing. I'm gonna have so much fun. I'm excited. I'm getting out this, this small town, and I'm going to the city now." And 2012 was so trippy uh, because majority of my childhood um, was like school, church, in that order. You know what I'm saying? School, church, school, church. And occasionally what you fill in the blanks in between time is more like spending time with the trees and the bees and the cows and exploring like blackberries, honeysuckles. It was a good time. Shout out to the childhood. Um, Even just playing basketball, which probably will explain why I ended up playing. I got on the team in middle school and played basketball. I was a forward. Interesting enough, my number was 44. Fast forward the tape. I never understand. I understand that 44 is such a magical number. But now I'm just saying it just flashed me back to even being number 44. And during that time, I had found out my mom because I was excited. I was like, "Yo, Ma, I want to play basketball." I just want to say I say to my parents because they always been so supportive in every idea, every everything that I ever came to them about. And they baby boomers, they was born in the 50s. I came around in the 90s, and I guess I was a baby, the only girl. But I used to be like, "Hey, Ma, I want to play in the band. What you want to play, baby?" "I want to play the drums." I think I started off saying I wanted to play the flute. And she was like, anything but the flute. And so I was like, "Well, if I can't play the flute, can I play the drums?" So she was like, "Yeah." And we got up and she went and got my xylophone, what they call a glockenspiel. She went and got me a xylophone and a snare drum. And we went up to this music store. I got my snare drum and I got some drumsticks. And I remember getting my book full of sheet music, and I was just like so excited. I'm like, "Yeah, I'm gonna play the drums." And then when I actually got in the band, shout out to my music teacher though. I was like, "Yo, I can't. I come to class because I want to learn music. I want to know." Like he would, like, "Okay, class, we're gonna learn music. Okay, this is a whole note. This is a half note. This is rest. This is a triplet." We would like occasionally just do music here and there, but he would just sit and talk majority of the time about unrelated topics. And we like, yo, I said, "Look, my mom got me this snare drum and this xylophone." Um, but he used to assign us homework in band. Like he would have to, I forgot how many hours a week you supposed to practice your instrument. But I wasn't so in love with wanting to learn music that I taught. It's almost like I self-taught myself that because he didn't really come and say, "Hey, Britt, this is how you play your instrument. This is this note." Pretty much, he just gave me the basics. Like, "Hey, you just count 1, 2, 3, 4, and boom, boom, boom." And the rest I just figured out. Like, okay, this is and what I would do. It's kind of interesting how I would do that. Um, Especially times when they would assign me like sheet music and I had like a solo or something because the xylophone, you can't it's one of them instruments. Like my friend, he used to play trumpet. He was like, "Yeah, I don't really play the right notes, but I play it to a certain pitch that it just blends in." But if you you can't mess with no xylophone because especially if you're the only xylophone, like people gonna hear that bring, like what? It throw off the vibe. So I literally would practice my xylophone for hours upon hours. And I remember I would take a blank sheet of paper. I never realized how innovative and creative I was, but I would literally take a blank sheet of paper and draw out the music notes on my paper. Go to the little diagram in the back that had like, it tell you which one was the keys. And I would literally, and I didn't realize that, but how magical that is with the pencil, the paper, and sketching it in my subconscious. Like I would sketch the sheet music into my subconscious. So I would sketch it out and then, shade in the little bubbles and everything. And then we'll write the notes and I will practice each, measure by measure for hours. And now I'll start from the top like ding, 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 ding. And then I do that over and over again. Then I just gradually progress until eventually I memorize the whole sheet music. And so it got to a point I could just play the xylophone without looking at the sheet music. Um, but yeah, that was real beautiful. And we actually won a couple competitions with me playing the xylophone. I remember that. And something about, I don't know, even back then, I think it was one time, I forgot what I was doing. I think I used to be just running my mouth on the house phone. But it was a period of time we had like a band competition. And I told you can't mess with the xylophone. So we going through the day before the competition. And he was like, Britt, play your part. And I was like, ding, ding, ding. I think this the right note. And he was like, Britt, what the word? You don't know your music. So I literally went home because I didn't like to be embarrassed. Like he put me on the spot and everybody paused and looked like, Brittany don't know her sheet music. And so I literally went home and I mastered it inside out. And I remember the day of the competition that morning while my daddy was driving me to school, I literally had the xylophone in my lap playing it, because I was like, I'm gonna get this. And when we got to the day of the competition, we practiced that morning before we got on the bus, and we got to my part. I was like, dun, 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 dun. Oh man, some good times. But yeah, I don't know, I just flashed back to that portal. And talk about cosmic chaos. But I want to say after the band days, I kind of like when I got in eighth grade, I got to a space like, oh, I'm in the eighth grade now. And then I had to apply for high school. And I was like, oh no, the only extracurricular activity I got on my record is music, which I love music. But I was like, I gotta diversify my record. So I got to a space. I joined the science envirothon, trippy, and then I end up joining, which is cool by the way, because I think we used to go to competitions and they would take us places to kind of study the earth and different animals and biology and different things. And then I joined. I don't know what I was thinking, but I just knew sky was the limit. I joined the mathathon, and mathathon is literally like the Olympics for math. Like it was just like it was like, yeah, you're invited, Britt, to the mathathon. And I was like, okay, how does this work? All I know is I got there and my pencil was smoking from the time I got there to, they rung the bell. Cause it's literally like you take this test and it's like a book full of math problems. And you just gotta now I'm not saying I was the physics, like I know math like astrophysics, but that math had me like, okay, that's when I knew I was intuitive because I said, look, I'm just gonna let my intuition tell me what these answers are because it had me stretching my eyes. But nonetheless, I did math. I did the little mathathon. And then I said, I gotta get sports on my record. So to me, I was like, Ma went home. Ma, I want to play basketball. Oh, baby, you can play basketball. When I got me a basketball, when I got me some sneakers, some compression shorts, everything I needed, sports bra. Just, I love my mom and my daddy. Wow. And they would just, support every dream I had. No questions asked. And played basketball. They used to take me to basketball practice. And I'm trying to think, did they ever come to a game? But yeah, I was a forward, number 44. And basketball, I was playing, I was excited about basketball, but like running concurrently during that time was my mom had, she had cancer at the time. And I don't know why that it kind of flashed, I had that flash of that memory earlier today, out the blue. Is I remember when she first sat me down and was like, "Hey, Britt," and I didn't even know what that meant. She was like, "I got cancer and cervical cancer," and I was like, "Oh, I didn't know," but I just knew that was, that definitely changed everything from that whole summer when we got out of school. I did kind of, I never understood the symptoms or what it was meant to be depressed. But I just got to a point, I just got very detached and cold. Like I kind of looking back at that break, but to just see my mom in that state, to go from this, like you could see her golden aura, like she just, I don't know, she just lit up the room in every room she went in, and to see that light just get dimmer and dimmer by the day, And I think that whole summer I would go with them. We would drive up. It's crazy. We would drive up to Durham to Duke, and they would take her to a chemo. And eventually, it just got to a point. It just, but just definitely Ashe. Because I know she definitely lives on through me. Y'all want to know where my creativity comes from? I would definitely say my mom, because my mom loved arts and crafts. And now I think about before cell phone days, like I just had the best mom before cell phone days, because she knew how to keep you entertained. She would go get bead sets, oil pastels, or you know how most people, like little kids, put stuff in the cart. Like if I put anything art related in the cart, she gonna get it. Like I used to get like just random watercolor paint, put it in there, get some color pencils, some markers, and little sketch pad. I always got it. And just it was always a time we was always coloring and painting. And I think my mom would make bracelets, like beaded bracelets. And she just loved kids. She just loved, that's why she opened up her own home daycare. um because pretty much her whole life she worked in a factory. And as a kid, in 2005, how old was I in 2005? Like 10, 11 in 2005. And it was my understanding that something strange, I didn't know politics in 2005, but something had occurred where her factory job, and they was telling me, they was trying to, tell me as a little kid, oh, the job went overseas. And I'm like, what you mean your job got on the plane and went overseas? Like, what you mean? But after I got older, oh, they outsourced the factory job that she worked at and put it overseas. I guess for like cheaper labor. I don't know. But that changed everything. Like that changed her trajectory, because then it allowed her to take the courage to start her own business. Like, and it was perfect for her because she always wanted to be a mother. I remember she was telling me that, yeah, when I was like 17, 18, me and your daddy got married, they said we couldn't have kids. And that's when they had my brothers, and then they had my other brother, And it was just a graceful blessing. And then, hey, here I was like, yoo-hoo, here I am. I showed up when she was 40 and just knew that she just had love for kids and making them happy. And so it was perfect for her creativity because she would make arts and crafts for the babies, and I always let them paint, color, and then I'm just a musician, so I was teaching little babies music. And childhood memory for me, one of the happy moments is I was like, we was watching Love and Basketball. And I said, I didn't know it was Lucy Pearl at the time, but I was like, this song vibe. Okay, kids, let's get together, kind of organizing together. I said, and one and two, and I want to dance tonight. I want to toast tonight. I spend my money tonight. I had the little baby singing Lucy Pearl. It's trippy, but some real good times, real heartfelt moment. But yeah, she just had that natural gift. And I remember when my cousin got married, she made the flower basket. I mean, the flower girl basket that I walked down the aisle with is when she actually went and bought like this basket, spray painted it, um super glued like this silk satin on the inside of it and just put this lace all around it. It looked like someone from like the Jared's bridal place made it, but she made it, handmade that. And it was just like one of her things. Like she loved to do hair. Like she always hooked me up. I was always looking good. Now when she passed, now I had some different beautician options, but nobody could do it like my mama. She would definitely hook me up. Always kept me looking good. That's why I don't like being ashy because she always kept me shining. And I ain't gonna say greasy, but really won't ashy. Definitely glistening in the sunshine. But yeah, and so that's why I got my creativity. Like, and she loved movies. Like, she put me on the best music. But between her and my dad, they both played the best music. But my mom would play the best movies, like classics. Like, she just loved. Shout out to that Scorpio, because her taste in movies were very esoteric and occult, but comedy. It was mixed in with comedy, so you wouldn't even think. And that's when I learned, like, oh, so nothing is really entertainment. They secretly hiding truth behind comedy. But nonetheless, I'm just grateful for my childhood, my upbringing, and just the creativity, the love, the essence, and I I want to say, yeah, even down to the discipline of like I get to be creative, but at the same time, you got to have A's and B's. You know what I mean? You got to keep your grades up. And I would definitely, do that. At the time, I didn't know if I was doing that for me or for her. But as I got older, I did love knowledge. Like I would just, like I told you before the cell phone days, because I had older brothers, I was just, my pastime was looking at their textbooks, just flipping through the encyclopedias. Because for some reason, I guess that was before my time, but it seemed like every house had a set of encyclopedias. And later on, I would find out that I didn't know people went around and sold people encyclopedias like Revlon. I mean, like what they call it? The Mary Kay lady, the Mary Kay, cosmetics. I didn't know people actually went around and sold encyclopedias. So, but for me, it was like, oh, I get this encyclopedia. And then I like when the encyclopedia be like, you'll look up something and be like, okay, now see this word. So I had to go run and get this. It was just, just naturally fed my intellect and my curiosity. And I read them and I'm like, oh, this is so cool. And definitely stay entertained. And was just always something about having pencil and paper. I got to figure out I got to do a past like reading, see what's going on with that. But I guess I was a scribe. I want to say, I think Miss Blue had did a spirit quest one time. and she took everybody to Egypt. And I remember seeing myself. I was a scribe. My man was a scribe, and we definitely, was having fun with the tablets. So I could see that. Just even down to seeing how they would turn bugs into ink and different dyes into ink. I don't know, but in this life, I even now, like, I can go without my cell phone. You give me a piece of paper and a pencil, a pen, something to write with, guaranteed I'm entertained. Okay, because either I didn't realize I was channeling, but to me that always been the sliced bread. That always been the meat and potatoes for me. You know. Just sketching and just wow. So I said all that to say, well, yeah, I'm doing my self witnessing work for real. Just to kind of even go back, because those last two uh, clips that I made for day 1 and 2 was all about unpacking the gifts that you got from your ancestors, understanding that you are a walking culmination of energies and just, I don't know, like a symphony of beautiful vibes. And even like you take the good and the what you deem not as good. You take the creativity, you take on the fear, you take on, all those things, and then you kind of filter it through your own experience. I always thought that was so beautiful. But that's pretty much what what I've been working on these last 2 days. And because to me, when I learned about the chakras, now I love the throat chakra, like, but the two chakras, I love the crown chakra, the root chakra, all of that. But even when I learned about chakras, it was just always something about that heart and throat chakra. I was like, oh shit. And then I remember learning, oh, the heart chakra is the biggest chakra on the body. That is so dope. And it makes sense too. Like even when I look out, like as above, so below, as inward, outward, I'm like, yeah, this world is full of stuff. Well, maybe because I grew up in the country, but it was just I grew up around so much green energy, green trees, leaves, plants, shrubs, grass. It was alive. Green always hit, and just even blues, like greens and blues, was my vibe. And then I had got to a space where I was like, yeah, I love red and blue. I must have been watching a lot of Spider Man, Superman, or something. But I was like, ooh, I like red and blue now. And then I was like, and then people was like, which one your favorite color? Pick one. I said, freak it. My favorite color, purple. I just combine it. But I love purple too. Ooh, purple got a special place in my soul. Hey, Journey. I hope you can hear me. I'm just sitting here, I'm kind of going through my Akasha records, my files, and just, you know, going back down memory lane with myself, as myself, and with the ancestors, because, they always present. But yeah, I was just kind of like recapturing when I fell in love with music. I think somebody asked me, like, who influenced my poetry or my love for creativity. And I'm gonna say first and foremost, it's gonna definitely be my mother, cause that Scorpio was just just naturally creative. I don't know, it's kind of just bringing me joy just thinking about how create like, and then how it translated to different areas. Like she used to just love to create. Like her food was always top tier. The way she dressed, like fashion for her was art. Gardening, planting flowers was an art for her. Just even her, I was just like her selection of movies. It was an art. It was an art form. Um, I was like, you know what? Shout out, because Pluto. That shout out to that Pluto energy, because it just, and then the way she used to do my hair, it was almost like an art form. So I just want to thank my mama, for that creativity. And then my daddy, he was more of the bookworm, the intellect. So I got a lot of my intellectual vibes. Like ooh, my nerdy side from my daddy. My daddy was like that real chill dude. He just loved to just sit on the front porch. And it got to a point he sat on the front porch all the time. Oh, you had some crazy weather. Yeah, be safe out there. I'm like, yeah, the weather's doing some interesting things. Cause one minute it's hot, next minute it's cold, and now it just look like it's just hot, you know. I think it said tomorrow it's gonna feel like it's 106 degrees, like 106. But I think it's in the upper 90s. But what it feels like is 106. I'm like, sheesh. I know where I'm gonna be, you know. um, and definitely a beautiful time where them hot summer days I can stay in and create and get some movement because I got a couple things in the queue that needs to get done. But yeah, I just actually taking like a little creative break. I might not stay on here too long, but I've been just making some videos, creating content, and kind of working on this special project. Like the spirit guys, So I'm just gonna keep down the low, but y'all be on the lookout. Cause I got some beautiful things, you know, on the cusp. But just been having a lot of fun. Hey, it's 2222. That's what I'm talking about. But yeah, just having so much fun creating, and I think that's what's been keeping me grounded. More than anything, is that creativity. Um, and just bring in. I love when I can bring an idea to life. Because it's like it's a thought I have, but when I actually see it, I'm like, now I know spirit is assisting because I didn't even picture me doing all this. I just like, oh, I just got this idea. I'm gonna do this, and the pieces just fall into place. Like it just, reveal itself. So yeah, I'm grateful for that. But what's going on with you, Journey? What's up with you, Boo? I'm up here enjoying this nice summer night on the balcony. Sound like the whole neighborhood got alive, you know. But nonetheless, it's been a beautiful day, real beautiful day. And that's what I was saying earlier. Like when you leave a place and come back, I'm like, the vibe is different. It's like I still can see some of the things are the same, but then I can also tell it's a difference. It's been a shift. And it's been a shift in me. I'm looking at it. I got a shift within myself, you know. So, universe been taking me around, back and forth. Okay, all right. See you when you get back, boo. But yeah, I'm just like just thinking how I got to this point of just making music, and how I just fast forwarded, to such a beautiful time. And that's why I'm Brittany Vibes, because the vibes is real. The vibes are real. And I couldn't be more grateful. And the progression that led to Brittany Vibes, like it started off as Chris. I think I was telling somebody that, but I think I was talking to Donna. Shout out to Priestess Donna. But it went from like my first artist name I chose for myself was like Crystal Clear. Unbeknownst to me, I was tapping into my clear quartz vibes. And I think that also came from feeling misunderstood. Because I was like, I want to be crystal clear, you know? Crystal clear. Now, interesting thing about crystal clear is like invisibility, but also transparency, you know? But that was my first artist name. And or the need to be transparent because you feel invisible. Because it just got to a point growing up. I'm like, why they not understanding what I'm, where I'm coming from. But I realize I am an alien, I'm cool with it now. But what helped me embrace being different was my mom. That's what I'm just saying. I'm just revisiting the childhood. But my mom signed me up for a program called SEMA. So during the summertime, it was like I would go like almost like space camp, but we would just watch clips on NASA. We would learn all of the planets. And then after we learned the planets, that's when I first learned that I was an Aquarius. I think I was like in elementary school, and I was like, so what you saying is it's 9 planets, and then our energy is connected to the planets based on the day and month we was born. What? Elementary, I just thought that was so cool. And so I was like, I'm an Aquarius. And I remember the first day I learned I was Aquarius, I hurried up and ran home. And I Googled, because that's when Google had just, made a nice little debut. And I remember my brother, he was like, this is Google. You ask it anything, it's gonna tell you what you need to know. I said, cool. So Google, tell me everything about an Aquarius. And that's when I was like, oh, okay, they ain't gonna, okay, so what you saying is they ain't gonna understand anyway, because I'm original, I'm innovative. I just, oh, okay, so I was born to be original. I was born to be misunderstood low key because I'm ahead of my time. Oh, So even in elementary school, I was like, okay, I got the assignment. I overstand. And I still kind of didn't truly embody that until later on in life. But I everything I did, even in my childhood, was ahead of my time. Cause I remember when I went to school, like now everybody on YouTube. But my friends was like, I said, yeah, y'all look me up on YouTube. They was like, you on YouTube? They was stretching their eyes like, how you get on YouTube? And then they was like, yo, Britt famous, she on YouTube. And I was like, yeah, I put my videos up there. I recorded a couple tracks and put them on YouTube. And that's why I said every time I think about everything I've done, I couldn't have done it without my beautiful parents. I told my daddy, he was like, what you want? My daddy, I think in a way that's why I'm spoiled a little bit too. Because my daddy used to be like, what you want? I'd be like, yo, I want this camcorder. During that time, it was like this popular camcorder called Flip. It was so dope. Like it was like real thin and you could take it and it had like a flash drive at the top. So you hit this button and the flash drive piece just pop out and then you could record and you just stick it straight in the computer. And I was like, oh, this is a game changer. So I used to literally record. That's why I thought it was so trippy. Younger Brittany used to make videos. Now I think some of them videos are still on YouTube. But I used to literally hop on camera, record the videos, drop them, making remixes. But I didn't stick with it at the time because, like I told you, I had to embody that I was ahead of my time. So when I used to tell people about it, I'm like, dang, I ain't got nobody to share these thoughts with, or ain't nobody else doing this. And from a combination of different things, I let us say a series of events that had occurred. I didn't post as much. I recorded a little bit when I got 18, but I think just the overwhelm of the newness of being an adult, because I think I didn't record as much music and make as many videos as I did when I was younger. And but I knew I just loved to make music. I knew I just loved to write songs. I knew I just loved to write poems. Just a natural born writer. And yeah. But when I think about it, I was, yeah, I was definitely an Aquarius. I was, naturally me. Cause little Brittany back then with the camcorder really won't edit it. Like I edit, but it won't like, oh, I need to edit this and do all these extra tweaks. It was just like, this is me, this is who I am, and this is what I'm gonna do. I mean, for real. And I did that. Yep. And kind of getting back to that. Like this is who I am. This is what I do. And this what it is, um so if I had a time machine and could fast forward to where I am now, I would definitely go back to that little Brittany and say, baby, keep creating. Don't never stop. Just keep creating. But just even having the courage. I used to get on the microphone. I'm like, yeah. And people used to be like, I didn't just go around broadcast like, hey, I rap, I sing. People only learn about that because other people will broadcast that. So people like, Brittany can sing. And then next thing you know, I got a singing engagement. Oh, Brittany can rap. Next thing you know, I'm rapping. You know? Oh, Brittany do poetry. Next thing you know, um, I'm reciting poetry on poetry night on my birthday. You know? It was always like a word of mouth thing. Like, oh, Brittany do poems for now writing poems for people obituaries, or I'm on programs to do poems for people funerals. It was always like a lot of people like I just do it naturally, so other people be like, oh, Brittany make music. Oh, Brittany do this. Brittany do that. What? I didn't know. And I remember my 12th grade teacher. She was like, you got this kind of talent. She said, I never would have known that. I never would have known that. She said, like, you're the best kept secret because just looking at you, I wouldn't think you can come on here and just, become a whole nother person on stage and rap. So, um, I guess because I was just trying to, it's like I wasn't scared to do it. It just, I was just trying to find my own voice in doing it, not knowing that my voice in doing it is my voice, you know. But yeah, I think I gave y'all a nice little recap of my life. So I'm grateful to share that. So whoever finds this audio and clip in the future, gives you an idea of Brittany as told by Brittany.